Greetings and salutations, people. Hope everyone is well. I thought I would say some things today. I have been very busy. I know other people have been, people are taking care of stuff. I've been really busy. I have my most recent book here is coming out. It's called Communication Uncovered, General Semantics and Media Ecology. And, that's roughly what the cover, I guess, is going to look like. I am using Valerie's painting, so I'm really excited about that. And it's the experience that I want to talk about was in doing the proofing of it. So I'm there and I'm sort of agonizingly, you know, when it got typeset, there are all kinds of stylistic things that get introduced, and the underlines get moved to italics, and then the person translates the various forms of um, notation that are used throughout the different style sheets for the different publications into a common one for the text, right? So some of it gets very complicated, and then there's all this double checking and proofing that's involved, and some of it can be really tedious and painstaking. So I'm there and oh no, this was supposed to be underlined, and now that you remove this underline, this comma has an italics to it, and I mean, some of it's just ridiculous. And so you're there and you're kind of painstakingly going through this, and I was going, oh no, this isn't right, and this isn't right. And I was getting sort of alarmed. I was like, I was kind of irritated and frustrated over these little tiny glitches over commas and italics and things like this. And just as this is going on, and I'm somewhat exasperated, and it's oddly, like, I don't know why it's so emotionally riling to have little glitchy errors like this, but it does seem to be kind of riling. You have this perfectionist yearning, and you can feel how that you know there is a sense of permanence that the text introduces, and we feel that nature doesn't really have an equivalent of setting things once and only once in this order and let them sit still. I mean, if anything, we are that part of nature which has done that through text, but most of the world is wiggly and it's seasonal and rhythmic, and it changes and moves a little bit, and even plate tectonics occasionally break. And that's what had happened, right? I mean, the tsunami comes, and I up in the morning and I see it, and I saw it very early on before any of the really bad reports had come in. But as the reports were coming in, it was bad, and suddenly I feel ridiculous. I'm like angry with myself over being so concerned and upset over punctuation and italics and things like this, when there are just horrors happening in the world. And it's like sort of it washed over me, and I went, oh my word, I can't believe that I was 10 minutes ago literally upset over a comma and italics. There's so much more important things in the world going on. And it really did it, sort of opened me up, I think, in a kind of compassion and an awareness of my own petty stupidness and stuff like this. But I think also it kind of opened some of these thoughts about, again, theory of everything, and these questions, sort of larger questions about, is there something like a cosmological connection to human experiences? And I go, some of this is speculative. I'm not trying to give a theory about, a guy in the sky, but I think there is something about our conscious experiences and then the way that we try to imagine what something like the mind of God would be like, whatever that expression would be like. I mean, we do at the very least engage in anthropomorphic comparisons where we say, well, God is all good, all loving, all powerful, all knowing, all this kind of stuff. And we basically take human attributes and then super extend those and say, well, this is what God has. But if for comparison, if we just say, what if some of our experiences, just playfully, okay, I'm trying to do this creatively. I don't mean any of this dogmatically, and I don't want it to be misunderstood, but when I was there agonizing over the little imperfections of my paper, and was, I mean, literally being emotionally riled by again, stupid little things, but they just weren't perfect, and I wanted them to be perfect. I, I think there was something sort of interesting about, again, a question, and the question would be, could it be, just for argument's sake, that God as a principle of harmony and balance, and we'll call it a perfectionist principle. Like, instead of saying God is all good or all powerful or all loving or all knowing, let's say God is a radical, radical perfectionist, and yet is so perfectionist that was unhappy because God could be infinitely upset over the infinitesimallest, tiniest little imperfection. Like, imagine an imperfection that is so infinitesimally small that again, infinitesimal imperfection was enough to push God over the edge. God went, oh, I just can't handle it. It makes me want to snap. That I can't believe that this happened. And it's hard to, I guess it's maybe hard to underestimate the importance of love and of forgiveness. And it's I don't know, it's hard for me to get it. And some of this came from seeing the Bill Hicks documentary. I just saw it a couple days ago. It was great. One of the first places it showed here, I guess, was in Grand Rapids area. And Bill Hicks was a funny comedian, very interesting person. Went through a lot. I found so much of that documentary to be very interesting and kind of inspiring. Makes me want to rant, say crazy things, push the envelope, and blur the edges, I guess, in some way. But it does raise these larger questions of cosmic consciousness, of our connections to the earth, of the way people, I guess, can sympathize with the universe itself, the cosmos itself. I mean, don't people think it's interesting? I mean, maybe it's just me, but don't people think it's interesting that the founding fathers, so many of them were deists, that I think many people couldn't even have imagined atheism? That atheism, I think to them, it just didn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. That if you imagine a kind of theism, you get into weird forms of dogma, especially as you move toward, maker guy, new earth, young creationist sort of stuff, ultimate salvations, virgin births, all of this kind of stuff. But I guess, deism, for whatever it's worth, you still have some sort of creator there, some guy, some creator separate from the created, who abandoned it all, who made it and then left it. Which, I guess for some people that may work. At least it solves for them something like an answer of purpose. Now, some people say, well, who made God then, right? Again, there do enter new questions that show us that none of that really is going to sit still. I guess I really don't know what it is that that I would say, other than I think people do need to see their own consciousness, their own experience as somehow experiences of the cosmos, that the universe itself experiences, and we are the universe itself experiencing. I think if someone wants to call that anthropocentrism, and they want to say, no, you're a humanist and you're elevating the human and you're putting humans on a pedestal, I would say, no, you have understood close to nothing of what I've said. What I've been trying to suggest is that too many people are a less than wholist. They're a failing in their account of the naturalist. That is, they want a natural that excludes the human. They want to say that nature is one thing and then art and religion are something removed from nature. But no, that is part of nature. We are part of nature. We're that part of nature which has opened to those kinds of things. it really does become a problem when people try to exclude the human and human creations and all that is human from the natural. At the very least, right, metaphor, myth, creative stories and narratives about who we are and our common plight of, from my own perspective, of being dreamless sleepers who only periodically achieve awakeness and who can come and momentarily haunt themselves as another. That is, I can take myself to be who I am in my awakeness, and in that process, explore and open to the world. But along the way, it's important for me to not forget who I really am. Right? Each of us, we're places and moments of an earth that can't have itself except by losing itself. And there does seem to be, again, a kind of forgiveness that needs to be in order. That there are imperfections. The world has horrors and injustices, and not just humanly imposed ones, although those themselves are part of nature's horrors. I think we struggle with intention, with the degree to which we have some conscious control over the evil that is in the world. There will be natural disasters, floods, earthquakes, things that the best we can do is help each other in our response to them. But there are so many other problems that we inflict upon ourselves from, I guess, from lack of foresight, from lack of care, from belief that someone else will have to take care of it and they can do it at a later date. The removing ourselves from the scene and not seeing our complicity and our obligations. I think this is so much part of it. I think the larger question, though, is when we see our own frustration and agony and irritation over life's imperfections, when you're there and you're trying to get something just right in your world, and you're frustrated and you're angry because you can't get it right and you want it set straight, whether it's the typesetting on a wedding invitation, or it's just some little thing that you're printing up for a book, or maybe it's just a painting, or it's a craft that you're doing, that agony over perfecting it. Could it be that that is an inkling, a kind of clue to the divine consciousness and the utter suffering that the divine mind, if you could postulate such a thing, would have to endure in being infinitely aware of all of the imperfections down to the infinitesimal shortcomings? Okay, thanks.